Today here on the bench a Kenwood TM-741E with no transmit and no receive, only display is firing up. Welcome to TRX Bench. Okay, so let's confirm what we have been told. Yeah, no doubt. So display is firing up and we can operate it. Yeah, no doubt. But we cannot operate the 70 centimeter band for any reason. Let's see. No. No. Now we can. So as far it is set to memory read, so the stored channels, it does not work, but on VFO we can operate it, but no way on MR here. That is funny. Okay, so let me connect a microphone. Okay, and let's see if we can transmit. Let's do it this way. Okay, so let's see if we can transmit. Yeah, it looks like, and I hear that the fan is coming up, so nice, but there is definitely no output, so no output power. And on the other hand, I'm now on 290, so generator is set to 290, and we should hear a signal, but we don't. So yeah, that is proving that it does not transmit and it does not receive. Also, we have here an indication, so that means the MCU and of course here our display processor are working, and the communication between the display and here our MCU is obviously working. Let me see. Yeah, so if I touch here buttons, I can change here, for instance, output power. You can see it down here. I can change, and I can use here shift and everything. So it is operative, so no question. So the MCU is working, but no receive and no transmit, definitely nothing. Okay, so let me take here's the lid off, and then let's have a closer look here to our battery. So maybe you remember this is not the first 741 which we have here on the bench, and we really had nasty problems with the battery here, which was leaking out and destroying here the traces on the PCB. So let's see if we may have a similar problem here on this, and if that is not the problem, then we definitely can go ahead. Yeah, and that is a problem here with this radio. Even if you have taken the lid off, you cannot really see what's going on here on the PCB. As yeah, you see there is all metal around, and we have no real access. Anyways, this radio here is equipped with 3 modules. So we have here in the middle, that is 144 megahertz, so the 2-meter module. So we can see it here on the back. So we have in the middle the 2-meter, and here down we at the bottom we have 70 centimeters, and this is the option unit, and it is equipped here in this radio, and this is a SHF module, so 23 centimeter. So you know, if it would be a problem in one of the modules, then we only would have one module failing, but we have everything failing, and that makes me wonder if there is more a problem here with our controller unit, or of course our display unit. And have you seen that? So that is also a known problem. So yeah, all the bottoms here are falling off. That is known. So maybe you have seen when I was replacing the foam behind it. So the foam is gone, and it needs to be replaced by a new foam, and then this problem is solved. But yeah, so that is a known problem with all the 741 radios. Okay, anyways, so as I said, I believe that we have a problem here with our controller unit, or maybe the display unit. But on the first glance, I do not really believe that something is wrong here with our modules, and our power supply must go through, because otherwise the radio wouldn't fire up, and we've seen it is firing up. But other than that, I mean, minor operation capability is given, but we have no audio, we have no storage operation, so only working on VFO. So you know, that tells me most likely we have a problem here with our controller unit, and that is of course the first what we should check out. Okay, as we know that our display is firing up, we definitely need our supply voltage here on our display unit, and we can test for it here on the red pin. So let me see that you can get the information. So when I probe here my supply line, so you see we have our 13.6 volt, and that is clear, because otherwise our display wouldn't work. And that simply means that our supply voltage here from our power supply is going through to our supply, to our display. But anyways, there is obviously a problem with I mean the rest of our controller unit, and that is what we need to check out right now. And the very first what we really can do is check here this little voltage regulator, simply because it is so easy to reach, and therefore let's check this voltage regulator. It is an 7808, which means it is an 8-volt regulator. And let's see what we get there. Okay, hope so you can see it. And this pin here should be our output voltage, our 8 volt. And we read 350, and radio is switched on, so this voltage should be present. So let's go to the input and let's see what we have at the input. And at the input we have 1 volt, and that is definitely too low. So the question is, what's going on here? But I believe this is already part of our problem. So we definitely have here a missing voltage, and yeah, let's see what exactly this voltage regulator does. Time for us to have a look into our schematic, and we find here our 8 volt regulator, and we found that we have no input voltage and no output voltage, so that means that already something with our input must be wrong. So let me zoom it in a little bit for you. I mean, as we already know it from our earlier 741 repairs, this is really a bad schematic, and I was not able to find a better one, so we need to get the best out of this here. And anyways, so you see here our 8 volt regulator where we found nothing, and this 8 volt regulator gets supplied by the Q102, and this is a kind of power transistor which will supply our voltage regulator with I believe 13 volt or so. And we have here a switching transistor, the Q101, which needs to get a positive voltage on its base to switch through, and then we get ground here to the base of this PNP transistor, and that means that then the Q101 would switch through and would supply our 8 volt regulator. So there must be something already wrong here with this portion of the circuit, and yeah, you may see that the 13 volt, which is supplying our voltage regulator, is also supplying some or all of the modules. So our UHF or VHF or what have we module with 8 volt and with 13 volt. Both is needed, both on our HF modules and additional to that on our controller unit. So if this both voltages are missing, then the radio can't work. So we really need to find what's going on here in this portion to understand where our problem is. Okay, and that means we have to take it apart, that we get access here to our Q102. And by the way, what is that down there? Oh, it's a bit of tape. So, what is that? What is that? Have a look. Yeah, so that means somebody was already in. Do not know what that means. Kind of a joke, I don't know. Anyway, so let me take it apart, that we get access to the needed portions of our controller board. Alright, so our controller unit is apart, and I've taken it off here from our RF modules. But, well, of course, this is our regulator, which we have seen and tested before, but we still do not see our Q102, so our little power transistor. And that is still hidden here behind our microphone jack, and I have to take it off to get finally access here. Now you can see it there. We have our Q102, and secondly we have here our little switching transistor, which is our Q101. Now it is a little bit difficult to be able to get a probe down there, but we finally need to get access. What we know so far is that here our heatsink is a collector, and according to our schematic we should read here our 13 point something, and that will be our first test before we go ahead. Okay, so I have put back the controller unit to the RF units, and I've connected here our display unit. And yeah, let's switch on to test our test point. So especially here our transistor. We need to go, where is my probe? We need to go down here to test if we have our voltage at its collector, to know what's really going on. Basically, as long here this voltage regulator is not working, we do not jeopardize here our, so this both are our audio ICs, and you've seen we had a huge heatsink over our audio ICs, and of course over our little voltage regulator. But as long we do not have voltage here on our 7808, we do not get fire up here our audio amplifiers, and thus we can't kill them by heat. But if the circuit is running, we do not really have much time, because they will get quite hot, and we will jeopardize these components. Okay, so therefore let's see what we have. Let me switch on, fire up the unit, and then let's take our test point. Oops! Hello? So what is that? And of course, yeah, so the voltage regulator is back, we have receive, and of course our ICs are getting hot. So what is that? So we definitely have somewhere, I believe, a dry solder joint, because otherwise there is no explanation why suddenly the radio is working. I mean, we definitely did not have our input voltage, which is coming here from our little power transistor behind here, our microphone jack. And well, so that is funny. So that means we really have to check for dry solder joints, because that is the only possibility why the radio is now firing up, and not only firing up, why we have back here our receive. So let me see if we have our transmit back. So once again, we can't let it run too long, because otherwise our audio ICs are jeopardized. So let's see, I switch it on. Aha, and it's gone. It's gone again. So we do have, definitely we have here, that is funny. That is funny. So the only thing I have done, no, nothing. So let me check. Oh, but my voltage is there, but I do not have receive any longer. So that is funny. That is funny. So let me double check what's going on here. Well, just wiggled a little bit around, and you see it is back. So for me it really looks like that we have a dry solder joint, but well, other than that, maybe that one or two of these capacitors are dried out, so that is possible as well, but I do not really believe it. But I guess we should check it. I mean, most of these capacitors are for our Bose audio amplifiers, and only some of them, 3 or 4, are somehow connected with the power supply. So with our 13.7 volt, which we have at our power transistor here behind our microphone jack. Anyway, so let me once again connect here our microphone, and let's check. So that was the moment when it stopped working at our first test. So let's see if it is doing it again. No. So it is working, and let me see if it is putting out power. It is. I don't know why it is beeping. Anyways, it is putting out power, so that is for sure. It's already getting really warm here. So anyway, so we do not really know what's going on here. So I'm gonna take it apart once again. I want to check some of our capacitors with the ESR meter, just in case, and then I want to double check here the connections with a microscope. So maybe that there is a crack somewhere which can't be seen with bare eyes. So yeah, let me check it. Okay, so first let's check here some capacitors. So these 4 here are definitely somehow connected with the supply line, so that could be a good starting point. We have 47 microfarad 16 volt types, and according to our list, is it focusing? Not really. Let's see. 47 with 16 volt should not be worse than 1.6 ohm. So that is what we want to check, and therefore you can see here our ESR meter, and I start here. I have a little bit trouble here. Okay, so I start here with the first one. Oops. Which is 1.6, and we set the limit is 1.6. So now, and it is dropping a little bit. So I would say, yeah, it is not the best anymore, but it is not so much out of spec that it really would make something problematic here. So let me see what the next one is. Yeah, so that looks much better. So 0.7, so that is really healthy. And the next one here is 0.7, so that is just fine. This one here 1.5. So yeah, that means we have definitely yeah, let me say two capacitors which are still in, so no doubt. So we could change them, but I do not really believe that that is the reason for our problem. Let's just easily go here for some more, just in case. But the other 0.7 is fine. The other capacitors which I'm testing right now are more in our audio circuit, so that has nothing to do with our supply line. But you never know. Maybe that they all are more or less they are more or less 1.5, which is still in spec, could be a little bit better, but there is no real big problem. As you can see, it is still okay, and there is no really bad one under all these capacitors. So the bigger ones are 470 10 volt, which is 0.2. Let's see what we find here. Oops. Yeah, so that is in spec. Let's see here our next one. 0.1, which is fine. And this one here, 0.1, this is also fine. And this one here, 0.1. So all capacitors are in spec. So the 470 with 10 volt, what we have here, don't know, no focus, no, it doesn't want. Well, but believe me, we have 470 microfarad with 10 volt, and the limit is 0.24, and we are always under 0.24. So there is really no problem with one of the capacitors, and that is what I thought. So I believe it is more a problem maybe here of the component itself. So maybe we have a crack. So you see we have here a brown area, so it is really getting warm, and maybe that we have here somewhere a crack, and that is what I want to check now. Or maybe here our connectors, that something is wrong here. So that is what I'm gonna check right now under the microscope, and then maybe I reflow the most important components regarding our power supply here. Yeah, so let me check it under the microscope. Okay, so I have checked here the PCB under the microscope, and what I can say so far, there are no obvious signs of a crack or so. I mean, maybe that I have to reflow here the transistor a little bit, and I mean, I will do it anyway. So this power transistor, and here the little switching transistor as well. So we have seen, yeah, we have seen here this little switching transistor, and the power transistor, and of course here the resistor which is connecting the switching transistor and the power transistor. So that is what I will do, of course. Well, what I have found here on our audio ICs, so these joints here are, yeah, minimum questionable, so I will reflow them. I'm not sure if they can that they are able to pull down the voltage, that we do not can test them anymore. I doubt that that is the point, but just in case I will reflow here this pins as well, because they are really looking, yeah, minimum questionable. Other than that, I'm not able to see any problem. So I've checked here our IC, I've checked these connectors here, all are fine. So these are the connectors which connect to the RF modules. So everything is fine, no problem at all. So yeah, maybe I go and swap out here the both C's we have found being yeah, being still in spec, but might be a little bit, I would not call it critical, you know. And I don't believe that that is the reason, but just in case. Other than that, really, I'm not able to see a problem. So yeah, let me reflow it a little bit, and then let's go for another test and see how it is working out. Yeah, as said, I have reflowed here our audio amplifiers and of course our power transistor, and what have we. So everything has been done, and I've just put it back for testing, and yeah, So you see it is working. To go ahead and do any further tests, I really have to put back here our heatsink, because the audio ICs are really getting hot. And well, with the heatsink back in place, and I can do some more testing. But yeah, now so in this configuration it is not possible. We will definitely blow here our components, but for the moment in time here it is really working, and maybe that yeah, one or the other solder joint was here really a problem. So let me reinstall here our heatsink, that we can do a bit more testing. Okay, so the chassis is installed, and well, I have tested the different bands here. Now it is running on 70 centimeter, and receive and transmit both is working without any problems. Well, I cannot find another fault than the dry joints we have seen on the controller board, which we have reflowed. So it really looks that everything is just fine, and yeah, I let it run for a while, and then let's see if it is still working. But for the moment in time, everything is really nice. Alright, so now we have 3 hours later approximately, and believe me, the radio is really, yeah, I have to say, hot. So here our audio stage is getting really hot, and without the heatsink here, the complete heatsink, so they really would get toasted. Anyway, so radio is now, as I said, approximately running 3 hours, and yeah, I have tried here to wiggle it around and to push it like this and everything, and I'm really not able to get it malfunction. So it really looks like that we hit the right solder joints, so it really must have been dry joints, and now it really looks fine. So everything is good, and therefore I will bring it completely back together, and yeah, then this repair is finally ready. Alright, and here it is. Everything is back together, and by the way, the lithium battery here in front in our controller unit is tested just good, so no problem. So it is as new, so that means everything is good. Radio is back working, and so we are at the end of our video, and yeah, thanks for watching, and hope you enjoyed it a little bit. If yes, please give me a big thumb up. Catch you next time. Bye.